So you're in high school slinging hot dogs in waters faster than your friends and earning some good money in the process.
Yeah.
Trying to do a little bit of investing. Then what's that next phase when you jump into, graduation and after that?
Yeah. Yep. So, in high school, they have you take those like career surveys, and it tells you what you're going to be or what you could be. That's where I started to kind of filter out and determine like, okay, engineering probably wasn't going to be around. I took AP Calc, and, I have a math mind just because of this family I come from. But after I took AP Calc, I was like, I don't want to go through that again. In engineering, it's a further than that. There's other math courses you have to take, and I was like, okay, engineering's probably not it. Healthcare, I had no goals whatsoever to be involved with blood, guts, and all that other stuff. That stuff made me nauseous. But I had a particular interest for, just business in general, money, finance. I was good at financial math. I really enjoyed that. So I was like, okay, well, near end of high school, I was looking at colleges. Two came to mind. I had Grand Valley, and I had Northwood University, which is my alma mater. Grand Valley I had applied to, but they didn't really give me that much money. Northwood essentially almost paid for everything. So I was kind of a nerd in high school. I got really good grades, and I didn't want to be saddled with a bunch of debt. So, Northwood it was. And the beautiful thing about Northwood is that I didn't have to take any fluff courses. I wasn't taking underwater basket weaving or anything like that. It was right into business.
You really
courses.
missed out.
No, but it was right into business courses. It was right into finance courses, accounting courses. And so that was the next step for me. And I just kind of embraced that. I buckled down for a year or so when I was in college and just really focused on just, acclimating, getting good grades and stuff like that. And then from there, that's where I actually started trying to start businesses when I was there because I had free time, believe it or not. I was taking like 18 credits a semester. I did a 3-year bachelor program there. But still, I wouldn't say business school is rocket science, So I didn't have to study all the time like engineers do or nursing students. So on the side, I was just kind of toiling with online businesses and stuff like that.
Before you got to school, you mentioned that you kind of had a math brain.
Yeah.
And then you said because of the family that I was raised in or the type of family. And I understand you were saying, your father was an engineer, your brother, and that kind of maybe runs in the family a little bit. Do you think that it was just the way that, your family talked around the house that made you kind of catch on to the math things a little bit easier? Or is there anything particular that you pick up on that these are things that happened at the dinner table that probably helped me develop more of a math brain?
I think a large piece of it is just genetic. I think a large piece of it is just genetically we were blessed with math brains. But I think my parents' push to do well in school, absolutely. They were very involved in our lives. They weren't helicopter parents, but again, if we were taking home like a B+ in a class, they were not. That was a no-no, And so they were very on top of our academic studies. And so we developed like good study habits, doing homework and assignments on time, and just putting our best foot forward in every class, even if we had no interest in it or if it was challenging. So we just put more time into it. And so the likelihood of success was higher. And again, that comes from my parents' push. They were really involved. They weren't laissez-faire type parents. They were very much on top of us and you get your stuff done or, there will be consequences. So,
yeah. And you learned that work ethic towards school early on, which then you took with you in college, which helped you perceive, the business classes as easy, right?
Yeah.
And, kudos to you for putting your grades out there online, because I know that you do that too. And you show the world what you've done. And
hopefully people don't interpret that.
Yeah. the proof is out there that you worked hard in school and you did a good job. And that's what I was curious to dive a little bit into too, is if you felt like that was something that it was tough for you, or if it, because of the way that you were raised, that came a little bit easier. And it sounds like because of some of the work ethic and things that were instilled in you and your knack for math and different things, it was a little bit easier for you to get to school. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say it's a mixed bag. And I would also say too, you know, again, we were blessed because I wasn't going home. I didn't have to worry if I was going to eat dinner or not, you know. I didn't have to worry about where I was going to sleep that night, you know. So these things are seen as basic, but there were kids I went to school with that didn't have that luxury. You know, sometimes they had to skip meals or they would bounce around different homes. That makes it much harder. You know, not having those basic necessities, or what we view as basic, makes it much harder to perform, you know, because you're just kind of worried about survival. We didn't have to worry about survival to that degree. Right? My parents made enough sacrifices that we seen, but still enabled us to focus on our studies, on sports, and just being kids. So for that, we're blessed too. But of course, so it is a mixed bag of, you know, them being on top of us, instilling that work ethic, being involved. There's a genetics piece, of course, and then, giving us all the tools that we need to succeed.